I've never really had a problem with lead generation, so in this video I want to show you a lead generation method that I use, which is so powerful that a friend of mine told me to stop generating leads because I was kind of basically overflowing with them. It's the exact same method that we've used with clients, and again we've had them tell us to stop the campaigns because they're actually bringing in too many calls and leads. Now what I love about this process is that it doesn't require a massive audience. It also doesn't matter if you're new to the game or if you're a seasoned pro, and perhaps most importantly, it doesn't require any budget for ads or content creation. There are 4 stages to this method, and by the end you'll be able to run the same campaigns over and over and over with less and less work, which is another reason why I use this lead generation system so often. So if you're anything like me, when you start looking for new leads, you probably do one of these 3 things. There's networking, there's paying for ads, and there's content marketing. And in my experience, these take a long time, they can require a lot of money up front, and they take a lot of testing to get right. But the method that I use, and the one that I'm going to share with you today, is better than all of the above because it's cheaper, it's faster, and it requires way less testing. Now, that's not to say that I don't like content marketing, because I do. My entire business is built off of content marketing. Just look at what you're doing right now. So a few years ago, I was in kind of a networking group, and some friends of mine couldn't believe how many leads I was generating. I was basically moaning about how I needed more leads, and they gave me lots of suggestions about things like Facebook ads and content marketing. And then one of the guys on the call asked me how many leads I was generating, and I said it's between 100 and 300 a month, which might not sound like a lot, but that was completely organic. I wasn't doing any ads, I wasn't doing really any paid SEO. Well, I wasn't doing any paid SEO, but they were shocked, and they were like, I wasn't doing networking. Famously, I don't like networking at all. And they actually said at that point, like, you need to stop worrying about leads and you need to go back and focusing on sales and repeat customers. And they basically said for me to stop worrying about generating leads because I was actually generating too many of them, and maybe I should then focus on closing those leads and kind of generating revenue per customer. So on screen here, this is the basic kind of 4-stage lead generation method that I use, and coming up I'm going to show you why most lead generation campaigns fail, how to create a campaign that you can use over and over and over, and perhaps more importantly, how to create lead generation from scratch even if you're totally new. So over here on the right hand side, this is actually where most people start, and basically it goes wrong. This is what we call delivery and also follow-up, and most people focus on the delivery of the lead magnet first, and it's a bit like building a massive multi-million-dollar stadium in the middle of the Arctic. Like, it might be cutting edge and beautiful and best practice, but if there's no one around to use it, then it's basically a giant waste of time and resources. And then there's this second massive mistake that people make with their opt-ins and their delivery that kills conversions, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It kind of happens around here. But instead, we're going to focus on something completely different to start with. If you want to get great at lead generation, ask yourself, if you had to sell hot dogs, what would you do differently to drive the most sales possible? When I ask people this question, some people talk about like the quality of the ingredients, or maybe they say like different types of toppings. I have a totally different perspective. Now, if you can understand this first step, you can generate an unlimited number of offers, lead magnets, products, and content. There's a crepe cart and a sausage cart in the city Exeter, which is kind of near where I live, where my office is, and they make bank, like stacks on stacks on stacks, right? And they've been going for years. They might be Exeter's like longest running business, maybe. So why are they successful? Well, it's not because of what they sell, although that does help. Like, I eat there pretty regularly and it's really good food, but it's something else. If we zoom in on the Venn diagram here, we've got like sports, shoppers, I don't know, students. They don't all have to be S's. And then they've got hungry. What we're doing here is we're matching an audience and a problem. And inside this overlap here, that's where sales are made. It's also where like conversions and lead generations are made. If I had to start a hot dog stand, I would want to put the hot dog stand where people are hungry. Too many people try to capture leads based on the actual lead magnet, whereas I want you to capture leads based on an audience and a problem. So which of these, for example, sounds more compelling? Download our 8-page PDF guide on the best prices and join our newsletter, or authors who want to launch a $10,000 online course use this. So the first thing I want us to do is list out our audiences. Now, if you're like an agency, you might have solopreneurs, you might say that you work with like mums, maybe you say you work with a particular type like course creators or maybe like authors. I want you to list out audiences. And then I want you to list out the problems that they have. Now, hopefully, there'll also be problems that you can solve, but in my experience, it's more important to target something that someone has rather than you can solve, and you can figure out the rest later. So it might be that solo businesses, if we take someone like course creators, their biggest problems are basically new sales and recurring revenue. Mums, it might be time. Solopreneurs, maybe it's scale. Then we're going to mash them together. Now, ideally, you'll have something called a function, which is kind of like bonus points, which is the kind of thing that someone's going to pay for. For example, coaches want clients. They don't want just new sales. They actually measure sales with clients. Maybe people who are like, I don't know, influencers who want to get on podcasts, the way that they measure the success of that, the function, is interviews booked. Now, don't get caught up in the delivery yet, things like checklists and PDFs and ebooks and courses. We're going to come on to that later. The key here is making sure that you've got an audience and a problem overlap. That's actually what's important. And in the next step, I'll show you how you can get that audience to ask you to become a lead. So just before we get to that though, I've actually put all of my best converting funnels and automations and lead magnets and emails and pages and stuff ready to use in a 30-day free trial for the marketing software that I use called High Level. Now, what's really cool about High Level is that you can not only use it for your own business, using the lead generator to find new clients for your own agency, for example, but also for a flat monthly fee, you can onboard unlimited clients and give them the exact same offer. Plus, you can use all of my funnels and automations for free just by signing up. If you head over to sellyourservice.co.uk/high level to claim your free 30-day free trial, and for a limited time, get a one-on-one onboarding call so you're all set up and ready to go even faster. You can head to sellyourservice.co.uk/high level or use the link down the description below. Anyway, back to the video. So next up, we have this thing called asking the audience. Okay. How often have you gone on Facebook or LinkedIn and you've had someone jump into your emails or your inbox or your DMs and they've been like, hey, I love the content you've been putting out recently. I don't know if you're interested, but we have an amazing offer whereby we can get you blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh my God, I just connected with you. This is kind of a bit phony and it's way too fast. I'm not really interested. That is a classic cold DM message, and there's lots of guys out there who will tell you it works. I've bought tens of thousands of dollars of consulting and like actual services from these guys, and frankly, they just don't deliver. So instead, what I want you to do is look at a way to have someone say, oh, actually, I would be interested in this, and then being able to follow up with them. For example, this post here has 328 people saying, yes, I would like to have a kind of a look at this. All I've done is shown them, it's actually using the same whiteboard I'm using now. All I've done is shown them a problem for a specific audience, and it's generated something like, in the first few days, it did 150 leads, and I regularly will post these. And this is just from asking people if they want my content. It's unintrusive, it builds connection, and it's frankly, in my view, the best way to test an offer on earth for free. So I'm going to show you how to create one of these kind of posts. It's called a hands up post, or like I say, called ask the audience. All we're going to do is we're going to ask people to comment on a very specific type of post. So this kind of like comes out here. We're going to ask them to comment. We're then going to reply to those comments. And then we then have a conversation with them in their messenger based on whether someone is interested in it. And we'll talk about how to actually put the post together in a second, but I want to talk about why this is so powerful. What most people do when they build a lead magnet is They put all of their information together. They spend hours writing an ebook or a PDF, and they create like an app or something, or they get some new software, and they spend ages building the thing, right? Remember earlier when I talked about building a stadium in the middle of the Arctic? They spend ages doing that. Then they create a landing page. They get it all beautiful and perfect. And then they create all the automations and the delivery emails and the upsell videos and the ads and the campaigns and the follow-up campaigns and all of this. They then post a link to their profile or their group, and they get absolutely nothing in return. So instead, how we're going to build lead magnets is completely different. We're going to think of a compelling offer, for example. In fact, I'm going to use the influencer and interview. We're going to think of a compelling audience and problem like influencer and interviews booked that we can solve. And then we're going to craft 5 to 10 headlines and post the best one to our audience. Something like ChatGPT is awesome for this. And then we basically wait to see if people bite. And then once we get someone saying, yes, I'm interested in it, then we go and create it. Only after the offer has been tested. So I'm going to include a list of like really quick templates you can use to kind of mash these together down below just in a Google Doc. What you have to understand is people vote with their wallets. And what I mean by that is they vote with their time, they vote with their attention. If you put something together saying, hey, I've just created this brand new document that shows influencers how to book, I don't know, 5 to 10 new interviews in the next, I don't know, 45 days, for example, that already sounds like a really compelling offer. Even better if you can kind of get a photo of it or like create a fake screenshot or something. This is how you then test the offer. That's what goes on your profile, your group, your wall, your email list, whatever. And then once we start getting bites, that's when we create the rest of it. I've talked before about the 60 to 70% conversion squeeze page that I use. That's the one on screen I use. Here's the design. It's super simple. I have a really killer headline. Again, mashing an audience with a problem. I have 3 bullet points and I have an image. I also do like a ClickPop opt-in, where if you click that button, like an opt-in form will come up. And I want to collect their name, their email address, and ideally their phone number. Now remember, you can get this template plus all of the emails and the automations and the funnels and stuff that I use, plus a one-on-one onboarding call for a free 30-day trial just by heading over to sellyourservice.co.uk/high level. Now remember earlier when I said there was a second delivery and follow-up problem that people make a mistake with? So this here is now our squeeze page. What they do, the problem, it's actually here that they'd make the mistake, is we have our squeeze page. So we have our title, we have 3 bullet points, a button, an image. The second delivery and follow-up mistake that I see people make, which kills their conversions, is in the delivery and the follow-up process. Now, this is what 99% of people do to completely ruin their conversions. They focus on the content type when it literally does not matter. You might have heard people say like, quizzes are dead, apps are dead, cheat sheets are dead. None of it's dead. It literally doesn't matter. Books aren't going anywhere. All right, the concept of writing something down in a way that's easy to digest as a book, that's not going anywhere. What does kill conversions is a really bad audience and problem match. Now, it sounds logical and intuitive to give someone the thing they want immediately, but in my experience, you're actually missing out on potential conversions. So what if we could start generating sales or maybe appointments? This is going to be a little calendar, right? Immediately after someone signs up from these leads. So instead of after the lead capture, we offer them the actual, let's say, for example, you've given them a PDF. Instead of that, that's not what I want to do. I want to redirect them to a page that has a sales video, or maybe like an ability to book an appointment. This for me has completely revolutionized my business. When I was a chef, I would insist that the front of house team would take a big tray of all the desserts to all of the tables after they'd finished their meals. Now everyone says, I don't want a dessert, but as soon as you show them the dessert, they're actually way more likely to buy it. Something like 80% more likely to buy a dessert, compared to if they leave, obviously I can't sell them anything. And I was like, well, they're unlikely to buy anything if they leave, so why don't I show them the dessert? Now, what most people do wrong is redirect, as I said, people to a PDF. And instead, what I want to do is offer them something that they can buy there and then. So I'll offer them a video sales letter with a sale, or I'll follow up with an email or an SMS, or I will offer them a call where they can kind of book in a calendar date. Now, that's not to say I don't follow up with them via email or SMS, or sometimes I'll even call people up immediately. The actual lead magnet itself gets delivered via email to their email address, but I want to test a second offer to the person who has literally just told me, I am interested in this thing, I am in this audience and I have this problem. And when generating leads, without question, the fortune is in the follow-up, right? That's where the money is. And most people waste the leads that they've generated because they don't do anything with them. And by now, you're probably thinking, but how can I convert these leads into sales? Which is why I've got this video here telling you exactly how I ran a sales campaign that generated over $20,000 via email marketing. I didn't create a new product, I didn't create a new offer, but make sure to click here and watch that entire video.